going?
And the big Burger King himself, Burger.
What's up, guys? I'm not feeling like a very big Burger King right now, but let's just say like medium.
He's a slider today.
Yep.
The 6,000 hits took you out.
No, I can tell you, I've never felt that run down during a raid. But it wasn't just that. I mean, I was traveling last week, right? And, I didn't. There was one night I finished raiding at like 3, and then my flight had to be at the airport at like 6. So I got up at 5:30. And so it was like all around, like everything was just rough, but it kicked my ass. I generally don't need a lot of sleep, but I was definitely feeling it on Saturday evening.
I think every month I start out the episode by congratulating the Owls on winning raids, and so This is an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, I've made a point to make sure that we're playing nice, so I'll leave it at that.
I definitely commend the Owls on their 32 wins in a row. I should mention that when I was an Owl, we never lost raids, but that's a different story.
That is true. It's really your fault.
Yeah. Also, I will commend most Owls on having dignity and grace in defeat. There are definitely some salty ones out there, but for the most part, y'all have been really good sports.
That's why we haven't let Luke talk on anything lately.
Yeah. I imagine Ballsy is not invited anywhere either.
Actually, Ballsy's been a good one. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
The salty.
I don't know about that.
Well,
Did
you hear him on the podcast? He was good on that.
I did not. I haven't.
I'll say this: what I've seen from Ballsy the last few days, I wouldn't have thought that would have been Ballsy. I mean, he has.
I do know Ballsy. That's why they call him the ocean, right? It has nothing to do with him being a whale. It's because he's the saltiest body on earth.
Look, everybody's. As far as I've seen, obviously it stinks anytime you're doing it, but we're focused on what do we learn. And look, I will say this. Raids kicked my ass, but we made some kind of changes and we did some different things during it that I think made it actually was fun, even though we lost. We had a really good time, and I think that the people there and all the hours that are out there listening will agree. I think it brought us closer together, and we spent some time kind of looking at what do we need to change. And I would just say it would be interesting to see New Gods try any of these things again. I think we're ready for whatever comes in the future.
I think the scores were outrageous, and I think that is a good segue into talking about the new tunes of it.
Yeah, why don't you give us the background on the most ridiculous of the 2 new tunes this month?
So we'll start with Question, I take it?
Yes.
So Question, the one that we've got in game is Renee Montoya. Renee Montoya is a fascinating and pretty well beloved character in DC, I think. A lot of people don't realize she was actually created for Batman the Animated Series, which just celebrated its 30th anniversary, which made me feel old as could be when I saw that yesterday. So she was created for that show, but due to a scheduling quirk, she actually did debut in the comics right before the episodes that she was in for the animated series aired. So technically we saw her first in the comics, but really she was created for that show. So similar to Harley Quinn, where we had a character created for that series that went on to become a huge deal in the comics and really a mainstay in sort of Gotham. Renee Montoya, they definitely, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have admitted that they introduced her for diversity. Having a Hispanic character was something that they specifically set out to do. And she debuts, and she's basically just an ordinary cop. Her initial appearance in the comics, she's an assistant to Commissioner Gordon. In the TV show, she's basically serves as like the odd couple partner to Harvey Bullock for the GCPD. And I think it was just based on the fact, though, that she was different. She was a woman police officer. She was Hispanic. That she kind of resonated with folks, and they started to give her more and more to do. Her big, if you want to read anything about Renee Montoya, the most central storyline that she's ever had comes from Gotham Central, which was a series that it was like a police procedural written by Brubaker and Greg Rucka. That was fantastic in the early 2000s. And it was something that they had been building up for a long time, but she has this ongoing, I'll call them issues with Two-Face. And Two-Face really sets out to destroy her entire career. And it's through that storyline, which was like this much celebrated, award-winning storyline, that we learn that the entire time Renee Montoya has been a lesbian character, and Two-Face outs her. It's like tragic. She becomes an alcoholic. It's a really pretty well done series that made her kind of even more popular to a large portion of the DC community. The interesting thing is, in the game, we have the Question version of Renee Montoya. And so that comes a little bit later on as we kind of approach the New 52. She becomes sort of more disillusioned, disenfranchised with the GCPD, starts to lean a lot more towards the vigilante aspects of crime fighting as opposed to doing things by the book, because she saw how corrupt Gotham was. And that's where we get Vic Sage, who is like, vigilante crime fighter. The Question has no face. And when he, spoiler alert, doesn't make it, she takes over. And she really doesn't have a ton of appearances as the Question. That's why it was a little surprising that that's the version of her that we got in game. And the only reason that happened is because they did the New 52 reboot like a year after she became Question. She's now Question again in the Lois Lane series. But we don't have that fully fleshed out of like how she's treating that Vic Sage role. But overall, I think she's a really, really important character, really fascinating character. I'm glad she made it into the game. They gave her an interesting kit, and I do think that they did, as usual for the last several months, a really bang up job with her art. I think her basic skin is very representative of Renee Montoya as a police officer, and I think her legendary skin as the Question came out really good as well.
Yeah, I don't really know much about her background, but she seems like an interesting character. One thing I always liked about DC, unlike Marvel will just randomly swap people to fit their diversity standards, and DC creates them and builds them a great storyline and makes you like them, which is I feel like the better way than changing up characters.
We're at a point where there does tend to be criticism when you've got a fully established character who, like, later on in their story history and everything, gets a new diversity element added to them. Like, there's been a lot of questions, a lot of criticism about the sexuality of certain characters, coming well after they've been introduced. And my stance has always kind of been, if it is in a well-written storyline and if it makes sense, do it. Great. I mean, like for Renee Montoya, the initial notes when she was created for the TV show, and this is something that did not make it into the animated series, but this was the initial concept for her, is that her introduction to becoming a police officer was because her husband had been gunned down, almost very similar to Batman. And, that's not to say that there are plenty of women who have been married to men and later on realized, no, I actually have homosexual tendencies or something like that. But in this case, they just decided to do it. She's had this very long intertwined storyline with Batwoman, with Kate Kane. and it really, in my opinion, because it was handled by quality writers who handled it appropriately, it has enhanced both characters extremely well. So I think that DC has been pretty good about that.
Yeah, they've done it a lot better than Marvel just randomly changes everything about a character. And even if, and even if it isn't about sexuality, if it's about just the whole storyline, it's
Right.
frustrating when the storyline's just completely changed on a character. Nobody likes that, regardless
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, she is one who's really grown. Like she started out as a very low level police officer who got a more prominent role, and her writing arc has followed like a career arc basically. And the only time it has been reset is when DC has done their like line wide resets basically.
In game, let's talk about that. You took her L5 very early, as usual, Burger, and she's broken good.
Yeah, she was a little surprising. During I think it was day what was it, day two? I was just trying to find anybody that could add some uh, crit damage ups on who was it, on fire, and it was just plugging and playing and throwing everybody I could in there, and all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, like did you guys just see that I have like three MVPs in a row that just insane damage. And yeah, I mean it definitely caught me by surprise, but yeah, I mean she's she's nuts. I mean, we need to find a way to fix her, because I think, I mean, I would assume the way that she is operating right now isn't the way that she was prescribed out to be, and not that this ever happens within DCL. Um, but I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you have an R2 out there that is an R2 tune potentially that is causing a L5 Ultraman to be able to one shot a RB3 uh, Spectre with his AOE. I mean, it's just insane. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it caught everybody by surprise, and it's probably WB is probably gonna make this part of their template going forward. Hey, just have a crazy broken tune at first, and then we'll fix her a little bit later. But I mean, I guarantee you, they've made more money off those fast start packs than with anybody else.
Yeah, almost every owl bought her up to a certain
Yeah.
point, and even and half, 75% of the new gods did the same thing. So she definitely got some sales that she shouldn't have gotten. Even if we all kind of knew it was temporary, we really weren't sure during the height of raids. We were just, you know, bashing our heads against the iPads and phones as fast as we could. But when we got the test in PvP, yeah, she's so broken. I had Penguin one shot Supergirl. So
Yeah, I've had Enchantress just with a basic, which she's not a heavy damage tune, but she has one shot an almost fully healed Etrigan, which is like okay, that was nice.
so
Yeah, it's nuts.
and before you go buy her up, note that they tend to fix bugs like this, and we're assuming this almost has to be a bug. So the working theory is that the crit damage up, instead of doing 10%, is doing 100%, which seems to math out properly based on people that are good at math that tell me these things. Zubaz, is that what you're believing? The crit damage?
I think so. Yeah, I mean that was kind of what I saw, and it's something about I think the way her call assists happen have an impact as well. That to me is when I really see it is like she'll call assist one of my other tunes, and that will be the one shot. So I'm not sure how the coding has worked out, but yeah, it's a question issue. It's not something else that's broken in the game.
Yeah, I can't tell. There, and it is weird because it just seems to be RNG sometimes. Because some matches I will just absolutely slaughter the team, and then other times it will just she seems normal, and I can't quite put a handle on exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I mean she has outside of that she does have a very good and interesting kit such that I think even if that gets fixed, she will still be a very very good character.
Yeah, and I think she'll be a good raid character because that many call assists with crit damage ups and crit, even if they're just working properly, I think will still be
Right.
useful in raids. She may be as good as, or if not better than Hippo, who's a very good raid dude.
Yeah, yeah, similar. I was using her in the same role that I would normally use Kyle, White Lantern Kyle, because he just has that automatic call assist. She virtually has the same thing. So yeah.
Excuse me. What do you guys think? Let's just assume she's fixed. And what would you guys think would be a legendary order for her?
I would do her 3, which is full clip first, which that's the apply silence and 30% turn meter up to all teammates. If I was just assuming, just looking at the kit, what I would do.
See, I thought her
I,
2, the call assist from 2 random teammates.
I would honestly, I would say like 2-4 is kind of what I was thinking, but just those both of those call assists are crazy to me.
Yeah, because that's
yeah, I
what we
was
did
gonna
for
do,
raids, actually, originally.
yeah, I was gonna do 3, 4, 2. Um, hmm. I don't. Her
Interesting.
whole
I mean,
kit
I
is
do
good,
think
though.
you could potentially build her different if you're planning on using her for PvP versus if you're really only planning on using her as a raid tune. It could have two different orders, like we've done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, because the 2 and the 4 for PvP are definitely the best. Because the 4 does what the 3 does at the end of her turn, but then her 3 gives you another. I mean, 60% turn meter up is really ridiculous.
Yes.
Because that's really what it turns into. Uh,
Yeah.
I think we can agree that the last one is the 5, where that's set.
Oh yeah.
Because that's an ally on death skill, which are
yeah.
always the worst in this game, unfortunately. So, and we do know that the legendary aspect of it is also tied to the on death as well. So that one's definitely last. I think the first 4 can be a little bit up in the air. I would always also lean towards her basic being further down too.
Yeah, I would say L3 is her sweet spot. You want her 2, 4, and 3 in whatever order you think is best. Because there can really be a case made for all 3 of those.
Yeah,
But all, I mean,
it's
all
an
5 of her
interesting kit.
legendary points. Yeah, all 5 of her legendary points are pretty good.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
all useful.
Yeah.
When we learned that it was going to be Renee Montoya Question, I honestly had no idea like what her kit would be like because she is just an ordinary person. Like she has no superpowers, she has no anything. So they really could have gone a lot of ways with it, and they gave us just like a fascinating kit. I think that aspect, like they leaned heavily on the call assist because that's what she does as a police officer. She calls in other people to help her with situations she can't handle.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it makes sense. I mean, when you're attacking Superman, you would think that she's got to have some other stick to be useful.
Right.
But seems like it'd be a good character. It's going to be hard to evaluate until they fix it, and then we get to play with her again.
Yeah,
And who
I
knows
had
how
to.
long.
Unfortunately, I had to face Burger's question in Siege already, and I managed to eke it through it. It was a very long match, but she's going to be a huge advantage for anybody that does have her in this Siege because she handles Enchantress so easily with that AOE remove
Oh yeah.
immunities, and that's not on the legendary point. That is something that she can just do inherently. So having facing that on defense was very annoying and very scary. Having that on offense is going to be really good. So if you are planning on competing in Siege for her shards, you might as well maybe get a head start because she's going to be really good in this Siege.
And I already have 3 defensive wins because of that team.
Yeah.
I even got one of those dirty new gods on my defensive log as a win.
No, she's really good. Yeah, I like her a lot.
All right. Well, moving on. Let's talk about the other character that turned out surprisingly good, and that is I just forgot her name. Flatline.
Flatline.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flatline. So Flatline is a very new character. She is basically exists only in the new Robin series, which I personally am not like super wild about, but it has been very, very well received by Joshua Williamson. And it's the conceit of the initial arc and everything is that he competes in this Lazarus tournament where people die and they bring them back with Lazarus stuff and everything. And it's definitely an interesting concept. But Flatline, where she comes in, I actually it made me laugh. Like when I was first, I was learning about how she was doing this. But so she is the sidekick of Lord Deathman, and Deathman he has been a established Batman villain for 40, 50 years or whatever it is. I think he goes back to the 60s. And they've kind of rebooted him a little bit, but the idea behind Deathman is that he can't die. You can do whatever you want to him. You can chop him up. You can throw him in a volcano. You can do whatever you want. He will not die. He will come back. And Flatline's powers that we learn is that if she is near somebody when they die, she absorbs their skills, sometimes their superpowers, sometimes their memories, like that sort of thing. And so it made me laugh. The reason these two came together is because Flatline would kill Deathman, learn a bunch of stuff from him, and then he would come back, and then they would just do it again, and they would just keep doing it, and she would keep killing him and keep learning from him. So it was kind of like a new coat of paint on like a very kind of old, stale, unused villain. And it sort of it enhanced them both. So that's basically Flatline's whole deal is she gains powers when people around her die. She right now has sort of a romantic interest with Robin, Damian Wayne Robin version in that series. And it's one thing I have learned, like when we saw the Reddit post about who the new characters would be, it seemed like it was very polarizing, where there was a lot of people who said, who is Flatline? And then a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that Flatline is in the game. And it was kind of similar for Renee Montoya. There was a handful of people that are like really thrilled about it. And then there was people saying, no, I wish it was Vic Sage Question, like that kind of thing. And I think what we're just coming to learn is the DCL community is extremely diverse, have been reading all sorts of different things, have been watching all sorts of different things for varying numbers of years. And so they're going to introduce people that are popular to some and unknown to others and vice versa. So I was, for the people that were excited that Flatline made it into the game after existing for only about a year, I'm happy for them. I think that's great. Kit wise, I think she has a great kit. I don't think it matches even the limited lore that we've been given. Unfortunately, she doesn't really have any sort of on death gain powers type skills, which I really think she should have. But again, art pretty good, pretty true to the comics, and I think it's tough to say if she's going to be a long lasting character. But at the same time, if you had told me in 1993 or whatever that Renee Montoya was still going to be a huge character 30 years later, I would have said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I guess, you can never really tell how these characters are going to pan out.
Yeah, when I first saw her, I was like, I've never heard of this character before. And I read quite a few comics, but I haven't been reading the new Robin lines. That's why. But then it mentioned Deathman, and so I immediately Googled him. And, who the hell is this guy? And then it popped up like skilled at yoga, and I was like, what is going on right now? Like, that's what came up as his superpower was being skilled at yoga, where he could meditate and regenerate his body. So definitely interesting. But no, I love her
Yeah.
as a character. But yeah.
So in game, let's talk about her. Zubaz, I'm gonna let you start since you typically don't talk about the in game, but I know you like.
Sure.
She seems like a
Yeah, I
character
mean,
I thought you'd like.
I do like her. I guess here's my biggest criticism is she's very good. Her second passive, I don't know if it's working properly.
It's not.
Stop
There's
me
no
if
way.
you've heard that
Yeah,
before.
it's
But
it's definitely not.
yeah, but it's a fantastic skill either as written or as it's working right now. As it's written, it's a 50% chance to double bleeds on all bleeding enemies at the end of her turn. It does include a maximum of 10. And that sounds like a crazy way to combine her with like Aqualad. Characters got 20 plus bleeds on them within the first two turns of the game. It is a wonderful skill. Right now, it's broken where it's like only her bleeds are being doubled. If it's a different character, then all I know is you can create a lot of bleeds very, very quickly. Facing her on defense, you have to be very, very wary of that. But my issue is that I wish that they had given that skill to a more like bleed centric character, basically. Like I wish that maybe had been something that they saved for a Black Manta rework, the introduction of like Brother Blood into the game, something like that, where it's like a character known for bleeds and that sort of thing. And instead, they stuck it on Flatline, who, yes, she does rip people's hearts out of their chest. Great move. It's kind of her only move. But in the end, I don't know if I would have given her that skill. But otherwise, in game, I mean, she does have this pretty unique crit chance up, crit damage up skill. It's something that we've seen from Superwoman before, but she's an energy character, so kind of spreads that out a little bit. They're not permanent like they are for Superwomen, but they are effective. I do think that crit in general, crit damage and crit chance has been nerfed quite a bit by the existence of Supergirl and Aquaman. But at the same time, with those bleeds, with the stamina ups that she's providing, I think she will be able to carve out a niche.
Yeah, when I was told the kit, I didn't really know anything about this character, but when I read up on her and looked at it, you're right, it doesn't make any sense for her kit. But with that said, the kit's actually surprisingly good. Now, I will say that I think I figured out what her bug is. She does when she does her own move, 50% of the time, she'll copy her 5 bleeds to 10, which should normally happen, except it happens across the whole team, which probably shouldn't happen. But she will not copy anyone else's bleeds on the enemy team with her passive. So if you have other bleeds out there, they won't copy. So she's definitely bugged.
So the only exception to that is I've seen it where if you use her 3 on a character that doesn't have bleeds, but let's say you've got Aqualad out there and he puts his bleeds down on enemy 1.
Yeah.
You use her 3 on enemy 2. It will then potentially copy Aqualad's bleeds from that other character to all of the other enemies except for the one that you attacked. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it is right now, like 2D has shared some videos. I think M4 has shown a little bit of it on stream and everything. Like you can instantly put down like a good 15, 20 bleeds without blinking on every character.
But I do think she's one of those.
Yeah.
She will be good after she's fixed. That initial opening with her 3 won't be as good, but I still think. But being able to copy everyone else's bleeds, and this is another character where, for some reason, they keep making characters so freaking fast, and I think her being super fast is actually a detriment. Maybe that's intentional, because I'd much rather use all the other AOE bleeders first and then copy all their bleeds, but you can't really do that with her.
She's 129. I want to say you have Aqualad and Cheetah would probably be the only 2 faster bleeders than her.
Yeah, none of those have AOEs, so.
Right.
And then wouldn't Robin be faster too?
Probably. I don't remember. What is he? He might be 129 too. If that's the case, it might depend on where you slot them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Check the old DCL toolkit. No, she is faster than Cheetah and Robin.
Oh my god.
Yeah. They are both 128. Cheetah's 128. Robin is 128. So she is the same speed as Aqualad. He is the only person that can throw down bleeds faster than her.
That's crazy.
Unless you give turn meter to a specific character or something like that. But even that, I don't think you can necessarily do because what speed is Red Robin? Red Robin is 127, so you can't do that either.
Yeah, you just gotta wait till turn 2.
Yeah, I guess so.
So let's talk legendary orders for her. Want to say she doesn't. I mean, a lot of her legendary orders. I feel like her 5 is probably her best. It's all. A lot of it's 50%.
That's what I put as her as first was
Yeah.
5.
And I don't really feel like
Her
any of her
5
other
is
ones
yeah.
are that exciting.
No, they're not. I think her 5 is especially the one where if you're at all concerned about like defensive wins or something, because I've had that get real messy real fast in Siege. But the other ones I think are pretty minimal to her kit. So
I mean, I would think probably her 3 next, maybe, or her basic. Yeah, probably her 3, then her basic, maybe. I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion either way on either one.
yeah, and I think the 4 is not even that good because she's not doing like huge damage outside of it, and if the enemies die from bleeds, I haven't tested, but I don't think that she is getting credit for it.
Well, her 3 will kill a lot of reds.
Yeah, her 3 is
Yes.
definitely wrecking reds for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I guess.
I would probably take the 3 only because if you're doing the 5 first and you're trying to double those bleeds, then more often than not, you're probably going to lead with her 3.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to lead with the 3, you might as well have the benefit of the legendary to give her the damage ups and crit chance ups.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because she gains the crit damage up and crit chance ups, and you would think, oh, hey, this is gonna be a great raid tune, and maybe she will next month be useful with the bonuses, but I mean, I guess she doesn't really give it to the team, so it's selfish.
No, and they're only for 2 turns, so
Yeah.
but she does gain them awfully quick. So I don't know if she'll be great for raids like permanently, but she'll certainly be good next month.
Yeah, definitely. And before we sign off, let's just do quick discussion on Penguin and why am I blanking out the other person?
Poison Ivy.
Oh yeah, Poison Ivy. Especially because you're on Zubaz for Poison Ivy. So let's talk Poison Ivy real quick first.
Sure,
What
I'll
do you
do real
think?
quick. Poison Ivy, I do have her RB5 now. I think she's great. I'm having a lot of fun with her. I think she is most useful facing debuff teams, of which, like in Siege right now, there's a ton of obviously, and she's very useful in Siege. Outside of that, I think people haven't really been using debuff teams a ton in like Wraith and stuff, so she may not get as much use there. But overall, I think the switch to making her a disease tune has been really effective, and I think is very in line with her lore. I like the way that they switched her heals to be more passive. I do think, and this is something that came up. I was one of the driving forces behind her second passive, which applies disease when an ally is healed. And on paper, that was going to be great because her 4 at the time was still an active move. It was an active heal, so she could open her own gate. They changed that to a passive skill, which means that she can no longer open her own gate for her 5. The good news is there are so many healers in the game, and that it's pretty frequent that you will be using at least one of them in this current meta. such that other people open that gate very, very easily. You don't have to heal her. You don't have to heal the team. You only have to have anybody heal. So you can throw her in with Lex. You can obviously use her with Ultraman. Enchantress has been really effective in spreading that disease for her, along with her basic, which does the disease bleed combo to open up a lot of other things. So in my eyes, I think she is a true support tune and very effective at that.
Yeah, I haven't used her a whole lot, and I'm gonna be honest with you. When I tried to use her, I didn't feel any different. But I think I wasn't using her on proper teams, or like you said, against debuff teams. What would you, if you had to? Because I really don't know what I would pick for legendary order for somebody. I'm guessing her 2 or her 5 would be first. Maybe a 3.
Let me just pull it up real quick.
I would do her 2 first.
She's definitely a lot better, like without a doubt. She's way more useful. As far as her legendary order, yeah, the 2, I think with the guaranteed call assist and the debuff immunity is definitely a really, really effective skill now. I would also probably do her 4 after the 2, because what that does is it lowers the cooldown on the copy skill, and that copy skill is really, really good now, because not only does it transfer debuffs, it does copy the buffs to the rest of the team. So you can make a lot of really clever use of that with awareness or damage immunity to like really set yourself up. That skill used to have a 5-turn cooldown, but with how often her 4 triggers, it reduces that cooldown quite a bit. So I would probably go 2, 4, 5, and then a toss up between 3 and 1, probably 3, 1. I do think that you're going to want all of them. And for her to be effective, she's probably one of those L5 tunes, if not L4.
5 stamina ups is pretty useful.
Yeah. I agree. I do. The only reason that I don't think the stamina ups, like why I don't immediately rush to that, is because I find myself not using that skill very often at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Like her basic just doesn't come up because you've lowered the cooldown on cross pollinate. You're using that more. You're using the taunt more. So I just don't get to use the basic that much. But I do think any of her skills are actually pretty good.
Any comments on hers, Burger?
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with the legendary order. I've probably used her like 3 times. I don't think for me she's going to be really big this siege, but I can definitely see the synergy. If you have her, plugged in behind Enchantress and Ultraman and letting her kind of just bunkers, I could see her doing some damage.
I mean, in this siege especially, and again, I think I'm going to get more use out of her at RB5. Like she has not died for me or even come close to dying for me a single time yet. I'll probably talk on other podcasts about all the changes that we made and how they fit with her lore and everything. But I think the important thing is she's constantly cleansing those debuffs. And in this siege where you've got Flatline throwing out a ton of bleeds, you may run into a dead shot throwing out a ton of bleeds, or an opposite Poison Ivy, or especially a Penguin. She gets rid of those and heals your characters nonstop. So that's why, like, I've had some longer matches because she may not kill everybody as quickly as some other tunes. But she's so good at ditching those debuffs that I think later on in Siege, when you're not facing bots anymore, you're going to see how more valuable she's been.
Yeah, that's true.
What are these?
By the way, I found you and Wraith.
What are these other podcasts that you're talking about?
I appear on, I think, 7 different DCL podcasts on a weekly basis. None of them are Crime Alley, so we're on a every other month schedule now for Crime Alley, I think. I mean, at some point where I have a platform to talk a little bit longer, I'll explain why Poison Ivy is the way she is.
It still cracks me up that this game, which has maybe 30,000 players, has more content than games that have millions and millions of players.
There's like new ones. There's like two new podcasts that came out within the last like week or so too. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, I keep trying to listen to them, and I really want to like give them. The more content's created for this game, the better it is for the game. But um,
Sure.
I just there's only so much time in the day. But speaking of time in the day, let's hit Penguin and then wrap this bad boy up. He seems really good, like really good.
Yes.
Uh,
He so most of you guys didn't know, like from his lore, it's not really well written anywhere, and you won't find it really anywhere. But he really is the fastest being on the earth. It's just most writers don't do a good enough job of really capturing that essence, but DCL did fantastic with it.
I can't understand how he's the fastest character in the game by far.
I do. I think what they're doing is instead of addressing the obvious problems with Spectre and Black Flash, their plan is instead of doing like a quick nerf because they know how many people that will piss off and all of a sudden there'll be refund requests and everything, they are just going to power creep them into oblivion. So if Black Flash wasn't already dead because of Aquaman, Penguin is now faster and can do turn meter down such that Black Flash like may not even get a turn if you handle it right.
I'll be right back.
I think that that's just what their plan is.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we're all sitting around talking about how does it go where he's the fastest one, but um, yeah, perfect. So when I look at legendary order, I mean, I think the first one you have to take is Henchy attack, so is 3 first with the apply 30% turn meter down.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that that's almost always going to be the first move you do with him. There's exceptions. You're not going to want to do it against an Aquaman team, obviously, but more often than not, he's going to be the fastest character on the map, and that's going to make your team go before anybody else's.
Oh, for sure. And the next one, to me, and it actually it did help me during one of my siege matches so far was this two, with throwing like the affinity power downs. Like it actually did help with some survivability for everybody whenever I procced a Supergirl trying to go a little bonkers. But to me, that's what I would do second.
Yeah, I think that's a really good skill. I do think you can analyze it and think of like who you have the most problems with. And the only reason I say that is his basic is really good. I think a lot of people don't realize when it says always steal 5 buffs, that inherently means can't miss. So you can, against a Harley team, throw out Penguin, and if he gets enraged, it doesn't matter because he's going to steal her evasion ups and her taunt.
Now, what did you
And
guys
all of
say
a
for?
sudden, yeah,
What did you guys say for first? Somebody came to my door.
the 3.
See,
Yeah.
it's funny because I agree with you, but I also his one. I think I open with that more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I was thinking was his 1 is really good.
It's ridiculously good, but I like it. I mean, his two is amazing, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. Three is probably first, but you could definitely make a case for his one.
I'm not a fan of the taunt. Like, so I've lost one tune this siege, and it's him, and because of his damn taunt when he's sitting there going, and Arcus was able to double tap him.
Yeah, but outside of Arcus, nobody really hurts him.
Yeah, and that's getting unlucky, I think, with getting it on him and a double taunt and that sort of thing. I think in general, you probably want him taunting because he's so fat and
Yeah,
doesn't really die.
yeah. I don't really have anybody I want to RB5 this month, but Penguin's I'm warming up to him.
There's some who has him RB5? Does anybody? I mean, other than the OG, the guy that was named Penguin and then RB5 Penguin and then stopped playing. I don't know if anybody else does.
Maybe. I mean, there'll definitely be some soon.
Didn't Grandpa Owl have it?
I think so, but he's
But he obviously
retired.
didn't train. Yeah.
Did Hawkeye has either the shards for it and hasn't done it yet, or maybe 2D? I don't remember.
I could see one of them
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Lots of people are going to do it this month.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. I think at RB5, like he's gonna be really hard to kill.
Yeah, I have him. I have RB4 shards for him, but I went with Flatline this month as my RB4.
Yeah, I really don't know who I want to do next. Kind of waiting to see what next month is, and
I will be finishing Mira next week.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll see after that.
so after his 1, we have 3-1. What would we say? Would we agree that his 2 is probably the next best one?
I actually like his 2 a lot. I said I'd take his 2 second, but yeah, I would go with that.
And then definitely his 5 after that. So I think his 4 is...
Yeah.
Well, his 4 is pretty good, but it's 50% chance.
I would again just say L4 or 5 if you can.
Yeah.
Just because he's all his legendaries are very, very good.
Yeah, I agree. He's very good. Very good rework. And he's a very good rework without being OP. Because they've done a few of those lately.
I think it's a good month overall. I think they did a great job with everybody.
Yeah.
I think in the long run, probably all 4 tunes will be, A to high B at the very worst.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they, and last month was such a good month. It was hard to follow, so I'm pretty impressed.
For sure.
I really regret not getting RB5 shards for Black Canary.
I do have those, so
Very regret it.
she'll be on the list as well once I get the crystals.
Well, guys, oh no! I forgot to buy the rebirth crystals of the $75 ones.
I am so glad that that's what you said because I thought you were going to say, "Oh no, I
forgot
haven't
to
been
record."
recording."
No, but I forgot to. And I wanted the one guy, the stun guy who stuns
Zod?
everybody. Damn it! I cannot believe I missed it. I missed all the. I was gonna do it this morning, and then I got busy for work, and then I was like, oh, I'll do it before rollover, and I forgot. I
can't believe you prioritize work over DCL.
I got something popped up early this morning when I started playing. I was like, oh, I need to buy those. I haven't done that yet, and then, gosh, I'm so behind in rebirth crystals now. I mean, I haven't been buying the siege ones because they're just too much, but the $75 ones are cheap, and I wasn't even sure I was gonna buy Granny because Granny's stupid, but Desaad is somebody I wanted to RB5. Oh man, this is painful. That hurts. That hurts my gut. All right. Well, on that note, I'm leaving. This has not been my the last month and a half has not been good.
Well, we still love you.
We do.
Yeah.
All right,
And if I could
guys.
turn back time. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. And
All
Burger,
right.
don't forget to send me a bunch of video if you don't mind.
Oh, for sure.
All right. And if Zubaz, if you have something you want to send me, feel free since you got them.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Later.
All right, Joe.
Later.